this is a war on women. I think it's a war on people of color.
I think it is such a gross, inexcusable, unjustifiable betrayal. I am disgusted beyond words.
Whether you like this reality or not, Donald Trump's more popular right now than he ever has been.
What is wrong with Republicans?
So Donald Trump signed an executive order ending the racist and discriminatory hiring quotas within the federal government. Now, anybody who's in support of equality and against discrimination based on race or gender would be in support of this. But we know The View loves some racism and perpetual victimhood, so they freak out over the fact that America is back to being a merit-based country. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but where I have to start this one is with racist Queen Sunny Hostin, the descendant of slave owners, freaking out that the federal government will no longer be hiring people based on their race and gender. Watch.
I think this is a really important issue, especially because when we're talking about DEI, we're not talking about a DEI office. We're talking about equal opportunity and inclusion across all offices for all people so that it's more reflective of what America looks like.
I always have to stop her mid-rant because she is so brain dead. Not only is the goal of hiring to reflect the way America looks idiotic and antithetical to meritocracy, but Sunny herself doesn't even believe that statement. I don't hear her advocating for the government to force women to go participate in offshore drilling, so it's more reflective of the way America looks. I don't see her calling for the government to mandate that the NFL, which is 53% black, or the NBA, which is 70% black, to hire more white people, to hire more Indians, to hire more Asians, to reflect how America looks.
This will specifically harm women, right? And it will specifically harm African Americans and Latinos. So we're not just talking about black jobs.
How about Asians?
It will affect Asians as well. And so I think this is really counter to his campaign promises to protect black jobs, because in the federal government, overwhelmingly, black professionals work there. We're talking about over 16%, more than the black population. And so I think what we're facing here is sort of a second nadir, because Woodrow Wilson, back in the day, did the same thing. He resegregated the federal government, leading to a plunge in income for not only black workers, but also for women. And so what we're seeing is an attack, not on necessarily DEI or wokeness, we're seeing an attack on the very fabric of our company, which is opportunity for all, including women.
Her saying this is going to harm black people, Hispanics, and women is just blatant bigotry. She's saying that these groups require government intervention to prioritize hiring them based on immutable characteristics, nothing to do with the qualifications of the job, because they aren't capable enough themselves. For someone who claims to hate white people and claim that all white people are racist, it's weird that you're saying they're the most capable group by implying that they don't need any government intervention at all. They can just do it on their own. And she also said something that contradicted her entire argument by saying that 16% of government workers are African American, while only 14% of the population is African American. So would she be in favor of 2% of those people getting fired because it doesn't accurately reflect the way America looks? Her whole philosophy requires way too much government control and interference. What businesses or industries are subject to or exempt from your whole reflecting America policy? Do offshore drilling rigs have to be 50% women now? Do daycare centers have to be 50% men? Does the NBA need to go from 70% black players to 14% black players? Who decides? Oh, right, Sunny Hostin does. Now listen to Ana Navarro join the freakout when she says that Trump signing this executive order took us back to 1964. Watch.
We're not only, he's not taking us back 4 years.
Yeah.
He's taking us back to 1965 before it was legal for there to be interracial marriage in this country.
That's why it's so broad.
And look, I would love to think, and I hope that we get there one day, I would love to think that there is no racism by the people who do hirings in the government and in corporations in America. But that is not the case. I would love to think that there is no homophobia, but that is not the case. And I think that by getting rid of this and doing it in such a bold way on day one, what he is doing is giving a green light to people who are racist, to people who are homophobic, to people who are anti-women and think they should be in the kitchen, and telling them there is no consequence to your racism.
These ladies represent the Democrat Party so well, just a massive lack of common sense. Let's do a quick logic test here, okay? Everybody play with me for a second. Let's say an employer has a black woman and a white man, both equally qualified, and the person hiring is in fact racist, and the person chooses the white man over the black woman because of racism. How do you prove it? Unless the employer blatantly states that they're not hiring the black person because she's black, you have no proof that would allow you to sue for discrimination. So how do they make sure discrimination isn't happening? They mandate hiring quotas. They say 25% of all the people you hire have to be black. 40% have to be women. Otherwise, that's inherently proof of discrimination. So the only way you can mandate people not discriminating against certain groups is by mandating that they give preference to those certain groups, which as a result discriminates against other groups. So the executive order that Trump revoked did exactly that. In the name of fighting discrimination, it mandated that a certain amount of federal employee hires and federal contracts had to be given specifically to certain groups, which is, ding, 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 discrimination. This was an executive order involving federal hires and federal contracts. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is the law of the land, and that prohibits any kind of discrimination. But these ladies don't care to know what they're talking about. They just want to rattle off their incoherent, delusional talking points and then hear the crowd clap it up for them. Now, this is where it gets hilarious because Sunny Hostin's trying to claim that the stats prove that DEI is effective. And Sarah Haynes fact checks her and reads a statistic that proves Sunny Hostin wrong. Watch.
Eliminating the protections for discrimination in awarding government contracts. And to be clear, that is going to hurt women. That is going to hurt
But I
business.
I believe in the spirit of this, which is DEI
has action that supports it. The
University of
stats support
Michigan,
that.
$85 million in a 5-year DEI plan. The Black Student Union said $85 million was spent, and yet Black students' experience on campus has hardly improved, and enrollment has gone down. So that's one example of saying that
Harvard Law School, the
it's not
enrollment of
just a
black students have
criticism of
gone
diversity.
down.
It's a criticism of the programs being effective. And the one thing I will say that is,
The
as we
stats show
push
that they're very
DEI,
effective.
that's not what I'm reading.
Sarah highlighted the second giant problem with this DEI nonsense. Not only is it incredibly racist and discriminatory, but it's ineffective, and it's just a giant cash grab money laundering scheme like BLM. All these DEI officers and DEI committees are just stealing money from the taxpayer to pay gender studies majors and critical race theory activists who would otherwise be unemployable in the real world. I think I speak for everybody when I say we just want our planes to land safely. We just want our firefighters to be ready and capable. We just want our police officers to do their job. We just want the people in military to be strong and capable. We just want our government to actually work for us. We don't care if they're white, black, Hispanic, men, women, gay, straight. We just want the people who help make society run to be the best and most qualified candidates, period. So Donald Trump did his first sit-down interview since becoming president with Sean Hannity in the Oval Office. And the ladies of The View are so Trump deranged, they are hell-bent on declaring everything Donald Trump says or does bad. Here is Joy Behar exposing she knows absolutely nothing about economics.
He seems to be cutting funding for infrastructure that Joe Biden put in there. Am I right about that?
Yes.
He's pausing the
Okay,
projects.
doesn't that cause joblessness?
Yes.
people are building and fixing and they have jobs. Now they won't.
It's paused, we have to see, because it's an act of Congress. He would have to block. It was signed by the former president. It was passed by Congress, but he is putting a pause on the infrastructure
If he
project.
gets rid of immigrants, illegal and illegal ones, doesn't that cause more unemployment?
let's see, 'cause
So,
right
Yeah, Mark
now they're
Zuckerberg's going to have to redo his own house in LA.
yeah, but I mean,
again,
again,
let's-
what to me
let's
it
see,
sounds as just as an observer that the kinds of things he's doing are going to hurt his base.
She's upset about Trump cutting Joe Biden's wild spending initiatives because they're going to cut jobs. The government doesn't just spend money to hire people for no reason. They're supposed to hire them to deliver the American people something of value. Joe Biden spent $42 billion on high-speed internet to rural areas, and they have connected 0 people. But I'm sure a lot of jobs were funded through that. The government could spend $1 trillion paying people to dig holes and fill them back up. It would create a lot of employment. But would it be worth it, Joy Behar? The government could pay people to stand around and watch paint dry all day. That's just not the point. Elon Musk's Doge came out with a report that 0 government buildings, 0, have over 50% of the staff working in them, and several dozens have less than 10%. We could probably just cut 50% of all federal workers, make them return to the office, and get the exact same results, if not better, than what we're getting right now. The federal government is not a good steward of the American people's money, and Joy Behar is mad at the guy that's trying to fix that. Now, the last thing I'm gonna show you is Ana Navarro absolutely losing it over the January 6th pardons. Watch.
And everything he's been promising, he did. I honestly thought, and the one thing that really did kind of take me by surprise, and it shouldn't have, were these January 6th pardons.
Yeah.
Because I think it is such a gross, inexcusable, unjustifiable betrayal of police, of the Capitol Police. And I am disgusted beyond words that yesterday the leader of the Oath Keepers was in the Capitol that he helped plan.
He'll be the next
this
Secretary of
siege
State. What, are you
against.
kidding me?
Or he might be the social secretary of the White House. They're now discussing having some of these pardoned January 6 people visit the White House, the symbol
Give a
of
tour.
democracy in this country. What is wrong with Republicans?
Now, this is the same person who said she had absolutely no problem with Joe Biden pardoning his son, Joe Biden pardoning Dr. Fauci, Biden pardoning the January 6th Commission, Biden pardoning his entire family on the way out. No problem with Joe Biden commuting the death row sentences of 37 violent inmates. But she has a problem with Donald Trump pardoning people, many of whom have been in jail for like 3 years. What topsy-turvy world is she living in where blanket pardoning innocent people who haven't been convicted of anything, is somehow a good thing, but the actual intended use of the pardon power, which is to pardon people who have been convicted, is now an awful atrocity. I swear, I imagine everybody on The View waking up angry about Donald Trump and going to bed angry about Donald Trump. Their severe case of Trump derangement syndrome does not allow for even a glimmer of joy to appear in their daily life. And you can see that every single time that they open their mouth. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.